Well then, good morning, and you join me on my next session, and my god, it has been an absolute eternity since I've last been out on the bank. It's been a good 4 weeks at least. So firstly, if you came to the Northern Carp show or the big one in Farnborough and came and said hello either at the deeper stand or the Witchwood stand, it's really nice to meet you. You know, chat to any of you guys that did come and say hello, etc. And yeah, I've had a busy couple of weeks as well, moving house and whatever else and all the bits and pieces that entails. And yeah, finally I'm in a place where I'm actually got a bit of spare time to be able to come out for 24 hours. Now what I've done is been on to the Catch app, the Go Catch app, and yeah, booked myself onto Linear Fisheries Tar Farm Lakes. Now what I've chosen is to drop onto lake number 6 and peg number 3. So I've got 24 hours ahead of me, and yeah, I fancied a change of scenery, somewhere different. Obviously these lakes have only been open a short time, they are relatively new. It's got a few hundred fish to go out, between sort of 350 400 fish I believe, and it's a nice manageable size for what I sort of want over the next 24 hours really. But yeah, the rain has just stopped, which has obviously allowed me to get the camera out and do a bit of an intro. We have had a week, well I'd say a week, probably well a month's worth of rain in the space of the last week. Just listening to the radio on the way in, we've had the wettest March in like 40 odd years, and that's pretty apparent just driving up to Oxford. You know, everywhere is flooded. And just before I got the camera out, I had a quick look down in the swim, and yeah, I think it's going to be 24 hours in the waders. Just yeah, everything's underwater, but we'll show you more of that when we get down there. But yeah, like I say, I think that is enough of the rain for the next couple of days, so thankfully it isn't going to be too much of a wet one. But yeah, peg number 3, let's hope it does me a couple of fish. Right, well, I am in my swim, and I think it's going to be operation stay as dry as possible for the next 24 hours. So I think what I'm going to try and do is just operate in this little gravel area, so I don't have to stand on any of that grass because it is sopping wet. So I think what I'm going to try and do is just try and yeah, just pivot in this little gravel area, to be honest. Get me distance sticks just set up on the grass here and here, so I can just wrap them up. The front of the swim, it's like a two level swim, so the area that I'm on, which my bivvy is now set up in, and then the sort of drop down to where you can, you know, cast, play your fish, etc., land your fish. That is pretty much under, I don't know, 6 inches of water. So I think I'm going to have me waders on hand right at the front down here to step into the water on the over the top of the swim, and then play any fish if I'm lucky to get a bite, etc. Even to cast as well, to be fair. Yeah, the bivvy's just set up at an angle, just trying to dodge all the puddles that are sort of like set up on the ground, like, you know, just laying up on the gravels, just run down off the grass, etc. So yeah, it's a bit wet, as you can imagine, but it's not going to stop me from trying my absolute best of putting a fish on the mat. So everything's in the swim now, car's parked, everything's unpacked. I've dipped my net, mat and sling, as you would have seen on the little video clip, and yeah, it's just a case now of yeah, getting the deeper on the marker rod, on the spod rod, giving that a little flick around. Now this lake, from what I understand from the sort of lake maps I'm just sort of overlaying here, it isn't deep at all. You know, it's you're around 6 foot. It might be a little bit deeper now with this absolute barrage of rain that we've had throughout this month. So, but like I say, it's not deep at all. So probably 6-7 foot here or there. So there's definitely a chance of finding hopefully a nice few little spots from videos and bits and pieces, little bits of research I've done. It looks like it can be weedy at certain times of the year, so wondering if there's a little bit of weed, sort of fresh growth, stuff like that starting, anything like that. But let's get it deeper on the rod, have a little flick around, see what we can find, and then yeah, we can try and hatch like a bit of a plan of attack really. So yeah, let's get going. Right, well I just spent a little while sort of chucking the deeper around and having a little lead around, and I found a really nice clean spot. I haven't wrapped it up yet, so I don't know how far out it is exactly, but it's not far at all. But what I do know is it's sort of amongst some real fresh sort of weed growth. I chucked the lead out just to have a little sort of feel around with the lead, how it was dropping, you know, what sort of drop I was getting, etc. And yeah, obviously what the deeper revealed as well, just kind of painting a bit of a picture out there about what's sort of in front of me. So this is what the deeper revealed, and I was just kind of having a little sling around. I'd put it onto narrow beam just because it's so sort of calm, there is really no wind, so I've got a real clear scan. And as you can see, this raised area here is sort of fresh weed growth just off the back of the spot that I found. So as you can see, it's not too dense yet. It is getting a return from the lake bed, hence the yellow. So the sonar beam is hitting the lake bed underneath, just where that weed is sort of not dense or thick or anything yet. And then it started to sort of drop off, and then as I was reeling it in, it started to reveal this banging, absolutely glowing yellow, absolutely nothing down there sort of spot. Very light sporadic little bits of weed, but I've just chucked the lead around out there and it goes down with an almighty drop. So this weed bed was behind this spot, and as I'm retrieving it in, it's slowly sort of scanning, and then it starts to hit another little bit of fresh weed, and again it starts to just grow up like this. So you know, maybe like what, half a foot or so. So there's a real nice run there, and I've clipped the rod up and I've panned it left to right and had a good feel. I don't know if I'm going to put 2 rods on it or 3 yet, but that is exactly what I'm going to be fishing over. So the deeper's done me a job in finding me a spot out there within sort of half a dozen casts. I then switched it up and put a lead on there, just for, what's that, 3 ounce lead, just to see what sort of drop I was getting on this spot. And it is going down rock hard. But then what I wanted to do is just get an idea of how, like I say, how tall, sort of how much of that weed was sort of coming up off the lake bed. So I then just sort of reeled it in, just sweeping it along the lake bed. I could feel the tap of the gravel, and then it was pulling into sporadic bits of weed, and eventually when I reeled it in and lifted it up, it was coming up like that. So it's giving me an idea that this weed is nice fresh weed growing. And if I just take it off, I can get an idea about sort of how long it is. So yeah, maybe sort of like half a foot to a foot. So it's quite long in areas as the deeper revealed, because it was nice and flat, and then it was going sort of up and down. So I know in areas that although it's not really sort of dense thick weeds at the moment, because it is just coming into spring, there are strands that are around sort of like a foot long. So it was just bringing in little clumps like that, so it breaks up nice and easy, just because there is just the odd little strand. Not like I say when you're in the heat of summer and it's all just you know, growing to like a bush underneath the water. So nice and fresh, nice and crispy, smells incredible. Actually there's nothing in there at all. I'll tell a lie, there's 1 or 2 little bugs, as you can see on my finger there, if I can get the camera to focus. There's 1 or 2 little bugs in there, but it's not crawling with it just yet. You know, we haven't really had any sort of real heat yet. There was a little bit more somewhere, but yeah, there's nothing really in it, the odd bit of bug or 2. But if I'm dropping a sort of rod in between those two bits of fresh weed and putting a little bit of bait out there, you never know, that might just entice them down onto that spot. So found a spot, let's get it wrapped up, find out exactly sort of how far out it is. I'll get 2 rods probably wrapped up to that spot and just fish them alongside each other, then have maybe a solid bag rod or maybe even just 3 solid bags, to be honest. I haven't really decided yet, and just use one as a bit of a rover. Luckily there's sort of people dotted around all around the lake. There's 2 swims free, and basically that's the one sort of in the far corner and the one right next to me. So yeah, I've got a little bit of water to play with to my right if I wanted to sort of chuck a rod sort of a little bit, you know, cheekily to my right into maybe number 2's water. But we'll see how we go. At the moment I've not actually seen anything, so let's just get the rods and that sorted first, and then we can think about what we're going to do with the 3rd one. Giving the rods a freshen up every sort of 2.5 hours, 3 hours push at a push. The right hand rod that I'd kind of used as a bit of a roving rod sort of thing, I've been having that in a little bit more regularly, just sort of dotting that around to see if I can make something happen, change a hook bait colour, all the usual sort of business that you incorporate with sort of solid bag fishing. Yeah, I'll try to sort of do, and just chop and change a few things just to see if it can entice a bite really. But yeah, as I say, nothing's happened. So I think going into the night, I'm going to switch up the solid bags and just go for sort of Ronnie rigs. I'll know they'll be fishing, even though I know the solid bags are, but I think it's going to be a bit of a bait and wait type scenario really. I'm going to just have to be sort of sat on my hands and just hope that something happens through the hours of darkness, and having you know, solid bags out sort of all night just really isn't sort of filling with me confidence, knowing how sort of slow it's been today. So I know if I've got sort of 3 different coloured pop-ups out there, I know I'll be fishing. I'll put a couple of sort of spoms of just pellet and broken down crumb boilie over the top, so I know there'll be bait over it. I know that the rigs will be fishing efficiently, and I'll have 3 different pop-ups amongst it as well. So that way I'll know that I can sleep easy, that I'm going to be presented all through the night. So I'm just sort of in the process of just getting some lead clip arrangements set up, knocking up a couple of sort of Ronnie rigs as well. I'd made a few just on the off chance, as I didn't really know how weedy it was going to be, so I made a few at home as well, as you can see there. So size 4s, and I'll be mounting some pop-ups on there with a nice sort of 6-7 inch boom, which will perfectly present itself over anything down there. But I know I'm fishing clear spots anyway, so that is going to be my plan of attack going into the hours of darkness. So I'm just going to prepare this over the next hour or so, keep my eyes on the water, And yeah, like I say, just get a bit of a plan of attack in my head, how I'm going to sort of do it going into the night. And yeah, hopefully it rewards me through either the hours of darkness or first thing in the morning. So let's get making a few booms for these, get a few baits mounted to them, have the rods in, freshen them up, and yeah, fingers crossed I can catch myself my first tar farm fish. .10. Yeah, a couple of hours into dark, and that right hand rod, the sort of longer rod of the three, off to the right hand side, it's gone busting off, and we've got a pretty little mirror in the net. So just quickly got everything set up. It's typically started to just rain now because obviously I have to get the camera gear out, etc. So probably gonna have to keep this short and sweet, but yeah, let's get him out and have a little look. Pretty little fish. Start the session off with a couple of hours into dark, and the right hand rod has gone busting off. Nice little pretty one, typical sort of fish from Tar Farm. They stocked a load of these stunning little scaly ones. I've seen loads of pictures of these, and yeah, thankfully I managed to stick one into my net just a couple of hours into dark. So that was taking on a excuse me, taking on a Ronnie rig over 5-6 bombs of hinders, sort of mixed pellet, seafood, all different sort of pellet shapes, sizes, smells, flavours, just a massive sort of pellet mix really. Just created a nice bed out there, but yeah, really pretty one. Just quickly swing him around, show you the other side whilst he's behaving. There we go. But yeah, well happy with that. I think I just started to drift off to sleep, to be fair, and this one absolutely reamed off. So let's quickly get some pictures. Slipping back, the rod's already gone back out. I managed to unhook him in the net, get that straight back out. See if I can turn one into two. Real nice pretty one. Some lovely scales on him. Yeah, look at that one. Mega happy with that. It's made the effort getting out in the rain and the wet and everything else worthwhile. Second fish on the mat. Quickly swing around, show you the other side. Slightly bigger, I'd say, than the other one, ever so slightly, but nonetheless mega pretty. But yeah, look at him, what a cool character. Absolutely buzzing. It's what I aim to do, come out and get a couple of fish, get a couple of bites. Haven't been out in like the best part of a month, so I didn't really want to sit there behind static rods if I could help it. So yeah, I chose this lake because it was the shallowest on the venue, and the chance that, you know, you might be able to nick a couple of bites. It might be slightly easier, slightly lower stock, slightly smaller size, but I'll take these all day long. So let's get a couple of pictures, slip it back and get that rod straight back out, and a little top up of the bait. Good morning, and as you can tell by my sound of my voice, oh my god, what a rough night. So I had those two fish through the night. I've just got rudely awoken by an absolute one-toner on the right hander. Again, that's done all 3 bites, so that is a super spot, and we've got one in the net. Now, I didn't actually land him from here. Funnily enough, I hooked him from over there, and I had to go and retrieve him from these rushes over here. Now, it took me an absolute age to get him out. I wasn't going to leave him in there. It got to a point where it stopped coming. I was side straining, and yeah, it just wouldn't come anymore. So I donned the waders, which are now slightly full of water. It was only up to waist height excuse me, only up to waist height anyway, but it's not the point. The aggro I've had to go through to land this fish, considering I hooked him from the other side of the swim. My god, there's absolutely no way though I was leaving it or pulling. It's you know, 10 foot from the bank, and yeah, I just wasn't going to risk fish welfare, you know, for the sake of trying to drag him through those brittle sort of dead reeds. So yep, on went the waders, and yeah, thankfully I have retrieved him, and he's down in that net sulking. I don't think he's happy but then again, neither am I. Oh, what a night, what a morning. So let me get my spare trousers on. Thankfully I brought a spare pair of trousers so I can get out of these wet ones. I think me I don't know, so I feel, no, my boxer shorts aren't dry, but yeah, let's get changed quickly. We'll get him out on the mat and we'll have a little look. Here we go then, the third and the biggest of the session so far. Ah, this one led me on a right merry dance, scrambling out of the sleeping bag, hooking him from one side of the swim, and landing him down to the left hand side in between myself and next door swim. But it's all for the good of fish safety, and like I say, I was never going to leave him there, but definitely the biggest of the three so far. Really nice clean fish, the mouths are immaculate, etc., as you would imagine for sort of newly opened sort of fishery really. And I'm quite surprised there's not more people down here, in all honesty. There's probably what, 4 of us, and I'm the only one on this half and this end of the lake, so I'm quite surprised that, given the conditions, there's not more people here, because there's definitely sport to be had, especially on this lake as well, where it's only sort of 6.5 foot deep. It will react to those weather conditions a lot quicker than some of the deeper ones on this complex. But he is really nice. Got some nice little sort of spangly scales there down on the wrist of its tail, but probably 18 pounds, something like that. But yeah, what a cool, nice, clean fish. So I'm just going to get a few pictures, slip him back, get that rod back out, see if we can nick one more before we got to go home. Right, well, we're into the last half an hour then. Everything has been packed up, all bar the rods. They will remain out until the very dying seconds. So yeah, if you've got this far, thank you for watching. I really appreciate your support on the channel. Feel free to leave me a comment below, give me a thumbs up on the video if you've enjoyed watching it, and more importantly, please hit that subscribe button. I look to increase my viewers every single year, my subscribers. I run competitions, you know, once I hit sort of milestones as well, so I really do appreciate your support by hitting that subscribe button. Now yeah, that has been 24 hours on Tar Farm Lake 6 Swim 3. If you're looking to get down to Tar Farm yourself, then get yourself onto the Go Catch app and you can book a session just like I have for 24 hours or more, depending on what you want to do. There's plenty of lakes to choose from, plenty of swims, and plenty of decent fish to go at as well. So I'm really happy with how my sessions turned out. It was a bit slow to start with, but yeah, it's turned out well. A trio of Tar Farm Lakes fish, so I cannot complain. So I'm going to leave it there. Thank you for watching as always. Don't forget to get in touch on any of my social media, Instagram, Facebook, and yeah, I will catch up with you guys next time I am out on the bank.